After 50 years of partnership with Cuba, been sending doctors to Jamaica to help us in our medical program in a Jamaica, and all of a sudden we just get up and cut ties with Cuba. Nobody can trick me. America have something to do with this. And the Jamaican government need to be honest with the Jamaican people. Because for years, Jamaica, we've been short of doctors, we've been short of nurses. And Cuba been serving us for years, sending them doctors and nurses to Jamaica. And after 50 years, we just stop, so. Knowing that our hospitals in Jamaica, we're still short of doctors, we're still short of nurses. And now, we are cut ties with Cuba because America I put their foot down our throat. Zine, we know America have so much to do with this. But the Jamaican government now come tell the people them the truth. Now we cut ties with Cuba. We're gonna get doctors and additional nurses to fill up our hospitals them now. More somebody tell me where we get them from.
Mounting pressure from the Donald Trump administration, Jamaica has ended its medical cooperation program with Cuba. The announcement was made in a release from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs on Thursday afternoon. The move ends a 5-decade relationship under which healthcare workers from the Spanish-speaking island helped with key gaps in Jamaica's health sector. The release says, quote, "The government of Jamaica has taken the decision to discontinue the current arrangement concerning the deployment of medical professionals in the public health sector by the government of Cuba." The move comes amid intensified pressure on Cuba by the U.S., with other countries in the region also ending their medical cooperation. The ministry says Cuban healthcare workers now in Jamaica may be engaged individually for the remainder of their scheduled tenure, in keeping with the country's labor laws.
Greetings, my Jamaican people, once again. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And in today's episode, you are seeing that Jamaica has finally ended the 50-year-old medical partnership with Cuba as of March 5 of 2026. And this has come as a shocker given the fact that Jamaica and Cuba has always maintained a close diplomatic relationship. And right now, the main reasons behind this termination can only be pointed to the geopolitical pressure that is especially coming from the USA and the lack of agreement when it comes to the contract renewal. Kindly watch the rest of this episode and don't forget to hit the like, subscribe and the share button while I come with my commentaries at the end of it.
My side, Jamaican. Who no come here, come right here. So everybody come here. Labour, PMP, everybody come here. Who no look here to bomber as clad. Jamaica long-standing partnership, medical partnership with Cuba to end. Jamaica long-standing medical partner with Cuba to end. So now, Jamaican, you see where Sir Jackfruit knows so could Batty boy Andrew Holness. Them do now? You realize say? You do realize say? Congressman said that Jamaica will face consequence with Andrew Holness address Cuba situation. You remember, say Congressman, he said, Jamaica will be facing consequence regarding the comments that Andrew Holness, Sir Jackfruit knows, make about Cuba. No, Jamaican, make me break it down to the people that did not understand and do not understand what the congressman mean. Because these people was looking for some big changes and some big legislation. No. These people pressure Andrew Holness after he had made the statement about Cuba. The American Congress decided that Andrew Holness government will have to end the medical partnership where them have with Cuba. No. If Andrew Holness end the medical partnership where them have with Cuba, meaning say the good Cuban doctors them that did so much for Jamaica will no longer be in Jamaica. There will be AI, bumbleclad, white people, robot, and them bumbleclad they go come now. Yeah man, white people them, America take out the put in themselves, just like every country them destabilize the country them and take out the president and do what they want to do. This is it. No. Because of Andrew Holness so good mouth, him should have just ignore everything and act blind and dumb and deaf like him not hear nothing about bumbleclad Cuba. That's what Andrew Holness should have done. Yes, you shouldn't make no statement at all. None whatsoever. If you never make a statement about Venezuela, the leader of Venezuela, where America government capture, why would you go and make a statement about Cuba, which would be the next target? Doesn't make any sense. My side, tell me if that make no bumbuckler sense. You're now going to talk about Venezuela, but you choose to talk about Cuba. Me not see how that makes sense. How you want to talk about Cuba when you don't want to talk about Venezuela? Cuba president never get captured. Venezuela president get captured. Now them are trying to destabilize Cuba now. Typical American move. You know, because you are a puppet and you are part of them shit, it's just a style game. It's a craft. You come make a statement, you have to read it because them give you it to read it. It's a planting. You was reading the statement when you're making it. You was reading the statement, Sir Jackfruit knows when you're making the statement. So, no. Because of them give you the statement to read to the public and make the people them know. Say, listen, we have to Cuba stand up, ray. No. This is what them do. You're a puppet. We realize it and we know it. Ignore Cuba, but ignore Venezuela, but address Cuba. Ignore one fire, but go in at the next fire. Ignore one fire, but going to the next fire. Does not make no bumbuckler sense. And these laborers do not understand. Them not going to realize it. Say, why should Andrew Holness ignore Venezuela? Not have nothing to say. Cause no problem for himself. But him want to have something to say about Cuba where going to cause more problem for we know. Because it's in our Caribbean water. You see, Jamaica and the Caribbean have nuclear and them thing they could have defend themselves, it would have speak a different language. We don't have nothing in our bumbuckler Caribbean to defend ourselves. Nothing to defend ourselves. So, why would you make a statement and that I saw you want to fuck up the Caribbean? I saw you want the man them just drop bomb left, right and center in the Caribbean. And we don't have nothing to defend ourselves. Eh? I want to know American lizard, American change for everybody. Yeah, America will be friend today and tomorrow no enemy. This is America. Yeah, them switch for everybody. Yeah. So now, you mean to tell me Sir Jackfruit blood clot knows? Because of your statement where you make, we no longer will have the good doctors them from Cuba. No, Jamaican death toll will be bumbuckler rising drastically. Yes, cause when the Cuban them are Caribbean people we care about we, these bumbuckler white people we are come, them not go care about we. The Chinese are whosoever got them are go put in them. Them not care about we like how the Caribbean people, them are care about Caribbean people. Me book a Trinidadian, them love and rate me. Me rate a Trinidadian, cause a Caribbean people. Me rate a Asian. Me rate a Dominican. You in the Caribbean like me. Me love and me respect you, cause you are a Caribbean brother like me or sister. Yes. Now, we Jamaican people, our country now, when it should be getting better, we are going backwards. Because JLP government don't implement nothing when they take out stuff. Them take out stuff and leave it and don't put in. First thing, they are going to end the relationship with Cuba. Who is it that the new relationship will be starting with? These are questions we need to bumbuckle and ask. I don't want to ask this question. We don't ask this question, Liberate, right? Who is the next partner who no go partner with? These are questions we want to know. I want to know who is the next person who is going to partner with if we end medical relationship with blood clot Cuba. Andrew Holness, suck with bro hag. I want to know. Me want to know. Jamaican people deserve to know. We are deserving to know. Since nobody no want to ask the question, you are going to end the relationship with Cuba. Who will you begin the new relationship with? Comment section. Help me and tell me. If me wrong to ask this question, me want to ask me with me. If you no feel like, me no feel, me know a blind blood clot feel. Me know. Yeah, in a real life. If you no know, say, a facts. You just tell me in the comment section, because this is there for a reason. You use it. Now, the labor them cannot read, you know. So, me know say the comrade them come address it properly. So, comrade don't continue to do the right thing. Show up the dirty labor them, make them go to school and send them picnic to school for learn, for read. So when they use new technology, them know how to use it. Them not have to ask people how to use it. Comrade, we are over here doing the right thing. Who don't know me already, you know? This video is for entertainment purpose only. Yeah, man, like, share, and follow me. This video is for entertainment purpose only. Yeah, man, this bumble hole of blood clot labor government. They want to fuck up everything we're good for Jamaica. Everything that was good for my country, they are fucking it up. Literally fucking it up. Cuba of all country. We know this was coming. Because Fidel Castro, them try how much time to eradicate the man. GLP government never want have nothing to do with Fidel Castro from back then till now. PNP government and Fidel Castro have good relationship, just like Barbados Prime Minister. Same thing like Barbados Prime Minister. Cuba and we have good relationship based off a PNP government. Now Andrew Holness, true for them government never like Cuba. Them now have a step away from Cuba in a time like this when Cuba need we. In time when we should return it back silently. You know we could have helped Cuba silently. We don't have to come talk, so we did help Cuba. America love spread propaganda, make them spread it. Say Jamaica help. Other country, we don't have so much bumbuckler Chinese in our country. And if America say something we don't run and agree, like we don't have no links with China. We don't have no connection with China. Me not understand there's so much Chinese in Jamaica. More Chinese live in Jamaica than white people. If white people have more power in Jamaica. You know see that? Me not understand. So if we cut out certain people, we're not supposed to have people we're going dead if we. No, not we do no bumbuckler liberal puppet government, batty boy Andrew Holness. Yeah man, but me tell you already, you don't know me. You don't know me. Like share follow me. Me not stop beat them. The fire not stop burn pan them blood clot liberator. Non-stop burning fire.
Are we about to throw Cuba under the bus? For decades, Cuban doctors and nurses have helped keep Jamaica's healthcare system functioning. Especially in rural hospitals and clinics where staffing shortages are constant. Now geopolitical pressure is pushing Caribbean governments to reconsider these partnerships. But here's a real question. If Cuban doctors leave tomorrow, who will replace them? Who? Because when a patient lies in a hospital bed in rural Jamaica, they're not thinking about geopolitics. They're thinking about survival. But the same forces that are putting these pressures on Jamaica and the Caribbean, these are the same forces who are strongly and heavily recruiting our nurses and doctors to shore up their system. Donkey say, world no label.
Mr. Holness, sir, you see how many nurses and doctors plus aid Cuba send come to Jamaica, and you see how you abandon Cuba, you see how you abandon Cuba thief in wicked man. God not sleep. Your days are going to come. You're a devil because you're a puppet for America. You can't do what you're supposed to do for Cuba. You come see. You come see Cuba I do for Jamaica. And now Cuba need we help. And you're not doing nothing for Cuba. Cuba is out of power. And you're not doing nothing for Cuba, Mr. Holness. Or out of the 320 students in Cuba, Cuba sponsor 44 of those medical doctors. Cuba always send their doctors and nurses to Jamaica. Cuba always send aid to Jamaica. And now Cuba need our help, Mr. Holness. You're not helping, Mr. Holness, man. Me say, you see, you, remember me tell you, Mr. Holness, say, when God ready for you, when God ready for you now, I'm going to know your head from your tail, my earth, because you're a wicked man. Look how many things Cuba done for this country, and you turn your back on Cuba. You turn your back on Cuba.
Jamaica, come close. I'm wanting to listen to me very carefully. Because right now there's a story going around all over TikTok and social media, and it sounds very powerful. But Jamaica, it is not fully true. A lot of people are posting and saying, finally, the PM Andrew Holness stand up to the United States in support of Cuba. Jamaica, please slow down. Let me clear this for you properly. The PM Andrew Holness did not announce that Jamaica was siding with Cuba against the United States. He did not say the Jamaican government supports the Cuban government over America. He did not say we're aligning with communism. What he said, Jamaica, was this, and listen to me carefully. If Cuba collapses, if Cuba becomes unstable, the Caribbean suffers. Jamaica, that is a regional stability statement. It is not political alliance. It is not rebellion. It is not defiance against the United States. It is just diplomacy. And that's a very big difference, Jamaica. Jamaica, walk with me because I'm going to explain it like this. If your neighbor houses catch on fire, you don't have to like your neighbor, you know. You don't have to love your neighbor. You don't even have to agree with your neighbor's lifestyle. But if the fire spread, your house will catch on fire too. So you say, let's calm this fire down before it spreads. That's what the PM did, Jamaica. He said, if Cuba destabilizes, migration increases, security problems increase, economic pressure increase across the Caribbean, and that includes Jamaica. So what he did was call for dialogue. Dialogue, Jamaica, it's not support. Understand that dialogue, Jamaica, is just mediation. Now, Jamaica, let's talk about something that everybody is all upset about. The congressman who said that Jamaica will face consequences. Jamaica, understand that that was not the United States government. That was one politician from Florida. One, Jamaica. He is Cuban American. He has strong anti-Cuban views. And that's his political base. Jamaica, I want you to understand something. You see, the state of Florida is very anti-Cuban government. So when he hears Caribbean leaders talk about easing pressure on Cuba, he reacts strongly. And that is domestic U.S. politics. Jamaica, that is not the White House declaring war on Jamaica. Jamaica, the U.S. State Department has not declared any sanctions on Jamaica. No trade cuts have been declared. No visa bans. No financial penalties. So Jamaica, let's not turn political noise into geopolitical crisis. Now Jamaica, here is the deeper part. Some Jamaicans feel proud right now. They feel like, yes, we finally stand up to America. Jamaica, be very careful. There's a difference between symbolic pride and strategic positioning. The PM, Andrew Holness, is balancing. Let's not forget these few facts, Jamaica. Jamaica's largest trading partner is the United States. Most remittances come from the United States. Tourism is mostly from the United States. The banking system is connected to the US dollar clearing system. Security cooperation is with the United States. You don't think Jamaica really gonna throw all that away with one sentence? No. So, no, rebellion is not there, Jamaica. Andrew Holness was just positioning. He spoke in a way that shows regional solidarity and avoids attacking the U.S. directly. He also avoids endorsing the Cuban government. And he definitely emphasized stability. Jamaica understand that strategic language. It's definitely not revolution language like we're all jumping up and saying on social media. And if you don't believe me, Jamaica, ask yourself the following questions. Did the PM say Jamaica will defy US sanctions? No. Did he announce new trade deals with Cuba? No. Did he criticize US policy directly? No. What he did was call for de-escalation. And that, Jamaica, is mediator language. So what really is going on right now in the Western Hemisphere? The Caribbean leaders are nervous because if Cuba collapses completely, this is what you're going to get. Both migration crisis, regional instability, economic shock, and a security strain. And all these small islands cannot absorb this pressure easily. So here is the true message that the PM was sending. Let's not let this situation spiral. Jamaica, that's called self-interest, not ideological support. So now let me address the illusion that's going around on TikTok and on all over the other social media platforms. We know people love a hero moment. We all do. They love to feel like, yes, finally somebody is standing up. But real geopolitics, Jamaica, is not TikTok energy. It's called chess. And the PM did a chess move. Yes, Jamaica, this was a chess move. A very careful one. Jamaica did not pick a side. What Jamaica did was try being caught up between both sides. And that's what happened, Jamaica. Now about these consequences that everybody is rah-rahing about. What was the hidden message in the congressman warning? It was not that we're invading Jamaica. It was simple. Be careful, Andrew, how far you go. That's just pressure language. Yes, political pressure. But pressure Jamaica does not equal punishment. Now, if Jamaica starts helping Cuba and bypass these sanctions, that's a different story. But just simply speaking about humanitarian concerns, Jamaica, it is not sanction-worthy behavior. So here is the truth. The Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, did not support Cuba in the way that Jamaicans on TikTok and the social media is spreading it across the platforms. No, false. What he supported was regional stability. He supported a dialogue. He positioned Jamaica in a diplomatic kind of voice. And that's not betrayal of the United States. It is definitely not revolution either. What it is, Jamaica, is balance. Now here is the real questions for all my Jamaicans on Jamaica Day. Are we reacting emotionally? Or are we analyzing strategically? Because pride without understanding can create false narratives. And false narratives can blind people. Jamaica, you don't need an illusion. What you need is clarity. Remember, Jamaica power is not in shouting. It is in positioning itself wisely. And whether you like the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, or not, that move that he made was about avoiding chaos within the Caribbean, not about Cuba against America. So don't let social media turn diplomacy into drama. Understand the difference, Jamaica. See clearly, move wisely, and stop celebrating or panicking over headlines. Yes, without reading between the lines. Jamaica, please, open your eye and wake up.
This risk to anger the United States of America. And the answer is this: we are not angering the United States of America. They are angering themselves. They are not going to tell me what relationship I have with Fidel Castro. We have that friendship with Cuba as part of a world alliance of third world nations that are fighting for justice for poor people in the world. And I tell you as the party leader, as long as this party is in power, we intend to walk through the world on our feet and not on our knees.
Why did you do it?
Because it is a matter of principle. Because to me it is an absolute matter of principle, and it isn't negotiable, and it will never be, no matter what price is paid. It is not negotiable for me to believe that a small country has to determine its policy by reference to what some powerful neighbor feels.
You see, if you follow PNP and its supporters, dog nyam Jamaica supper, literally. And this one example alone shows that, because I've never seen a subset of such empty barrels. They need to put up at the top of Blue Mountain and roll all the way come down half a tree. Empty barrels. You see, from the visit of the US Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, a lot of them have been very quiet, right? Because the government showed them up, and the government showed them, said, listen, leave this to us professionals. We know what we are doing. Because imagine if the government did jump up and fly in the face of US regarding the whole Cuban doctor situation. And mouth will always make for talk. Because if we look at the examples of other PM
they're eating humble pie right now. Because which PM is going to talk about ready to give up visa when there are literally no Cuban doctors there is just posturing. It's just fake moral outrage, because if it is that you don't have Cuban doctors in your country, what exactly is it that you have to lose? Really and truly. And the crazy thing is that they would want Andrew to put Jamaica in a position where Jamaica ultimately suffers, and that is the heights of craziness. What can really go so when you... And this is why I question the motives of the older generation and people who are supposed to know better, people who are supposed to have a level of intelligence, people who are supposed to maximize all of them little gray cells in a them brain, but somehow have very twisted, clouded judgment on the overall situation and predicament of Jamaica's position in the Caribbean where geopolitics is concerned. They keep on referring to the so-called glory days of Michael Manley and his era and how Michael Manley wasn't afraid of US. And it's all just stupid to me because of Michael Manley's ego, right? And I don't know what guidance he got. We have paid dearly for that misstep, because just like how Russia and Ukraine are having this big war right now because Russia did not want US interference in their backyard, it is the same way that US did not want communism in their backyard. And Michael Manley was literally soft launching communism in Jamaica, and people mistook all of that and I talk about socialism. Cuba is a communist state. Michael Manley wanted to model Jamaica off Cuba. And if it wasn't for US interference, we would be living like Cubans. And I want to ask the smart ones, the older generation, because remember, I'm a young body now, right? Not so young anymore, because I'm a millennial. You know, you have the Gen Z that's after me. But as a millennial, I want these old buds to explain to me, what do you think that trajectory that Michael Manley had laid out for Jamaica would have led to? What do you think would have happened? I'm sure knows enough of them will come and I beat up them gum would not want to live like Cubans. Cubans doesn't even want to live like Cubans. Marco Rubio's parents were Cubans and they left Cuba to the US, right? So him coming to speak about the whole Cuban doctors hits close to home, because what the Cuban government is basically doing is taking half, if not more than, these doctors pay. So the doctors them can't even afford a decent standard of living, because them are send back the whole of them money go to Cuba. Them can't even get to enjoy the money where them work so hard for. And this is where the term forced labor comes into play. But I want to go back, because I think this point is very important. And I think that the older generation don't realize how they have misled the younger generation and why we have to be fighting for our lives right now, right? And why things are so hard right now, because the older generation refuse to accept where they have erred, where governance is concerned. And this is the reason why we're in the problem we're in right now. Because when we talk about the past, and a lot of them be like, oh, why do I have to keep on going back in the past, and why, and that's not relevant to today, and da da da. And I'm like, It's the past that sets the precedent for the future. And if we do not go back in the past and look at the wrongs that were made, how are we going to move forward as a nation? Right? Because if you have these old heads, these dunderheads, these dunce people that think that Michael Manley did us a favor when he wanted to soft launch communism in Jamaica, which led to US having to step in and stop that. But anyways, those who understand knows exactly what I am talking about. Jamaica is at a position where we're looked at as the leaders of the Caribbean, right? And Andrew Holness himself have even defended the Cuban doctors, which put all of the jabberings, the jabberjays to rest. Because he understands the importance of the Cuban doctors. Everybody does. But as a leader, you have to know when for talk. You have to pick your battles. You drink your porridge when it's cool. You cannot be flying in the face of these superpowers and don't expect no repercussions. If Andrew did fly out like him big, bad and brave government badness, you know what tariffs Trump would have levied? Trump would be signing off. And poor little Jamaica would be suffering. And on the same one with a little ungrateful self wouldn't curse the government. So hear what? Yeah, make the government go and be a little pussy. 10 toes down, because the game is for survival. That is what this government is defending. Survival. So with all of this uncertainty, with tariffs and trade wars and World War III around the corner, when you look at what each government, what the opposition is telling the government to do and what the government actually does, who do you think has the merit to lead us as a country through uncertain times? Remember, empty barrels will forever make the most noise. Put your ex beside that bell if you know what good for you.
Well, if you've watched to this end, thank you once again, and let's get down to it. For beginners, you need to understand that Jamaica and Cuba have always been in a close relationship, and this goes back to history where we understand that Cuba has always been in support of Jamaica, and especially in moments of need, and there has always been this medical partnership that has existed between Jamaica and Cuba, that is from 1976, and after 50 years old, we are seeing that this contract has finally been terminated between the two countries. And actually, this is not the first time that this contract has actually been officially terminated by the Jamaican government. This goes back to 2023, where you get to understand that the previous contract had expired, and despite of the fact that these two countries had 3 years of trying to renegotiate the contracts and terms, successful agreement was never reached between these two countries, and that is according to the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Jamaica, that is Kamina Johnson-Smith, who announced that the two countries had amicably decided to end the 50-year-old medical partnership. Well, for most people, this comes as a heartbreaking situation, considering the fact that Cuba has always been at the forefront when it comes to fighting for the rights of other Caribbean countries. And we all know how Cuba has been very impactful, that is in the Caribbean region. And currently, Cuba is experiencing external pressure, that is from the US government, which considered it to be a country that it's defying the rights of its citizens. And in doing so, we're getting to see that right now Cuba is being hit with sanctions. And recently you get to understand that during a meeting of the Caribbean leaders, Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness made a statement with regards to Cuba, calling for amicable resolution of the conflict that is between Cuba and the United States. And also vowing to stay loyal to the commitment that is between the relationship of Cuba and Jamaica. And in response, we're getting to see that a US State Congress going by the name Jimenez responded to Prime Minister Andrew Holness' claiming that if Jamaica vows its allegiance to Cuba, it will be hit with multiple sanctions that will affect its economy. And in retaliation, we're getting to see that it seems like Andrew Holness finally gave in to the pressure and has now terminated the 50-year-old partnership program that has existed between the two Caribbean countries. And in this time of need, this has been viewed with differing sentiments by various Jamaican citizens, as they are seeing that Jamaica has finally thrown Cuba under the bus during this tough moment that Cuba really needs the support from Jamaica. And we are understanding that the sanctions from the US has prevented any oil ships to bring oil to Cuba or take oil out of it, and also it has prevented any aid from arriving to Cuba, mounting pressure at the change of regime in the country. And we're also understanding that at some point also Jamaica was trying to send help to Cuba, and this was intercepted by the United States, which again sent a stern warning to Jamaica. And finally, it seems like these threats from the United States has finally gotten the better of the Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness, who fears the sanction, and due to this geopolitical pressure, he has decided to totally cut ties with Cuba. And this comes as a shock, as most of the healthcare system in Jamaica has always been supported by the Cuban doctors and teachers, who have made a massive impact in helping the healthcare sector in Jamaica. And this can also be remembered that during the COVID-19 pandemic, it is the Cuban doctors who made the large impact to the struggling Jamaican healthcare system. And right now, at a moment whereby Cuba really needs that help from Jamaica, we are getting to understand that Jamaica has decided to throw Cuba under the bus. And this being one of the reasons. The other reason is that the two countries never managed to reach on agreeable terms, that is in contract renewal. As much as this could be a factor as it went back to 2023, we still understand that the Cuban doctors still managed to work in Jamaica. And right now, with the pressure from the United States, the contract has finally been terminated, and this spells doom for the Jamaicans who depended on these Cuban doctors on their healthcare system. And also, they have been raising questions about what will happen to the over 300 Cuban doctors who had settled in Jamaica and were helping in the Jamaican healthcare system. Well, for this, the Jamaican government has released a press statement claiming that the termination of the contract won't be immediate, as these Cuban doctors will be allowed to complete their tenure with full pay. And again, once these tenures have been exhausted, the Jamaican government, under the leadership of Prime Minister Andrew Holness, has claimed that it will seek to employ these Cuban doctor based on individual contracts rather than the government-to-government contract that had previously existed, as the US has always claimed that the Cuban government has always been human trafficking, especially on the labor sector, and the medical doctors who have been earning from these other countries tend to receive lesser part of their salary, with the majority of the salary going back to the US. To the Cuban government. And in doing so, the US has always portrayed this as being a human trafficking scheme that is only benefiting some few individuals in Cuba, while the majority of the Cuban expatriates who are sent to work in other Caribbean countries are receiving minimum wage and are living under conditions that don't obey the international labor laws. And again, it should be noted that it's not only Jamaica that has pulled out or has cut off the relationship with Cuba, with the Bahamas also doing the same, that is during mid last year, and also with Guatemala doing the same this year, that is on February, and it ended up cutting all the medical ties with Cuba. And this also can be pointed back to the United States, which is putting sanctions upon Cuba, and we're getting to see that any Caribbean country right now that vows to show allegiance or to support Cuba is always at a threat of facing the sanction from the big brother, and that is the United States. However, going back to the Jamaican history, we only understand that there's only one prime minister who actually stood against the United States, and that is Prime Minister Michael Manley. And during one of his popular speeches, you're getting to see that Michael Manley openly claimed that he was not going to cut ties with Cuba, as he viewed Cubans as his brothers and sisters, as Cuba has always helped Jamaica in its time of need. And in doing so, despite of the massive pressure from the United States, Michael Manley maintained that he will remain unshaken and he will continue supporting Cuba no matter what. So the main question here is, are there any leaders in Jamaica right now who still have this kind of backbone, who still have this kind of courage and boldness to stand firm and protect the sovereignty of the Jamaican people against these foreign oppressors? Well, I'd really love to hear your thoughts and ideas in the comment section. Thank you once again for watching to this end, and kindly don't forget to hit the like, subscribe and the share button, and see you in the next episode.